So I would say that our content for our interviews has changed the last 2 quarters. 2 quarters ago, I actually did a little bit of research because I was solo without you, Ron, and I wanted to have a meaningful conversation, because before that it was, hey, here's some concerns or issues that we need to discuss with you, and what's your goal? Right? That's mostly, what's your goal for the quarter? What's your goal for the year? And that's how our individual conversations went. I just pulled that back up my notes from 2020. So I keep a Google Doc for every quarterly interview, share it with you, Ron, and then I can go back and refer to it. What goals did we set? Any concerns that were brought up? So I keep each one. So I could go back. I just did it in about 10 seconds and went back through, and it is not nearly as detailed and impactful as it has been over the last couple of quarters, because I found some really cool questions. And honestly, even if you're not a business owner, as I'm sitting looking at the questions here this morning, I went, man, I could have these same type of conversations with my family, with my kids. Like,
so interesting that you say that. One of the things that my dad did with all of us, and you want to talk about a lot. There was a lot of us. So there were 7 kids. One of the things that my dad did growing up that was really, really cool, and I think unique, because I don't think very many people do this, is he had interviews with us monthly.
Monthly? Wow.
Yep. Monthly. They weren't long, especially when you're a tiny, you're a little kid. It was, hey, I get to go hang out with dad. And he would talk to us about whatever. They got to be more in-depth conversations when we were in our early teens and mid-teen years. And then, they probably stopped when we thought we were smarter than him, but nonetheless, they were impactful. And the reason they were impactful is because it was time where he completely concentrated on us individually, not as a group. Very similar to what we're talking about today with the people on your team. It is an individualized meeting. And you're right. Those questions that we're asking, which, we'll tell you in just a second, but the questions that we're asking are questions about them, about their feelings, about their growth. They're all forward-facing. Most of them are forward-facing questions about becoming better. And my dad did that very, very well, instilled that in us. And then, I did that not as well as my dad did, but I did that with our kids, and it was fun. So I was not near as regimented as he was, which I probably should have been, but they're really cool. So yes, if you guys don't do that at your house, I encourage you to do it, Heather. And those questions are, not all the questions, but some of the questions we're going to talk about are can easily be done, can be used in a conversation with a kid or a spouse or any of that.
Yeah, I love that. So the questions I found in doing just a little bit of research on good questions to ask in these type of meetings, the first one I always start out with, or have started out with, is what accomplishments are you most proud of this past quarter? So it's always interesting to note the people that are harder on themselves and struggle to answer that. They're usually thinking, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And so the mindset of, what did you do right? What happened? And sometimes it's really small, or we've had a couple this quarter that it was harder for them to think of something. And so checking in to know that, your team morale was a little lower than you thought, when you thought everyone was plugging along and doing great, right? Stuff like that is really helpful in leading and understanding where people are at individually, right? Where if we're in a meeting setting and I'm asking the whole team, hey, what accomplishments are you most proud of in the past quarter? I feel like it's just different. It's just a different type of answer you're going to get in a group of peers like that.
Yeah. And man, I just, they're so important. So this happens quarterly. Imagine if you did this once a year and somebody was miserable.
Yeah.
You'll lose them.
Yeah.
You lose them. And imagine if it's something that's so simple that you can tweak to make their life better, which impacts their personal life, their family life, and in every other way, their life. And I think, because we did them together this time, there were a couple that were like, oh, and they brought up a challenge and I'm thinking that is so easy.
Yes.
But if I didn't know about it, can't fix it.
Yep.
Can't fix it, which means they're just going to suffer in silence until it gets to be so big, that they blow up, right? So this is really, really important. And those are the things you really want to find out. So it's one thing to have somebody blow smoke and tell you that everything is peachy. It's another thing to say, man, everything is really, really good. And it could be better if we did this. And my life could be better if we could just fix this over here. Because Heather, you and I we're all about, hey, let's try to make this better, more efficient, easier, and then do more, right? Let's all grow and do more.
Yes, 100%. The next question I ask is, what goals did you meet and where did you fall short? And I've actually historically been uncomfortable with like, hey, where did you fall short? Because it feels like, where did you mess up? But in doing these interviews, I've just noticed that it's always a way for us to have a conversation about how can we make this better, or how is it getting better, or what's your plan to make it better, right? So that happens naturally that you move into that. So it's actually been really a powerful question to ask. So looking at how, as leaders, to help them hit their goals, is there something you need from us to be able to reach your goals?
Yeah. And is something broken? Is something fundamentally broken to where you can tell us all about your goal, but is there something fundamentally broken that's going to keep you from reaching your goal that we can remove out of your way so that you can run again?
Yeah. Agreed. The third question I haven't asked every time. It's been helpful to have on here, though. I've asked it the first time and it was really valuable. What motivates you to get your job done every day? I loved that the first time we asked it. It made people really think. And they move, because we, as a team, coach our clients to get to the heart of why they are investing and why they're doing things. I think we moved to the heart pretty quick. I mean, most everyone was like, well, my family, like I have my family. I want to be able to reach my personal goals in my life. And rather than just, well, I'd like to, be responsible. Like, I don't think anyone really said that. It was really more in depth as to what their personal goals in their life are, which was, as a leader, is pretty powerful to hear, what they're wanting to accomplish in their personal life.
Yeah. And the ability that they have to be able to live their vision, especially when we can, make sure that there's congruency between what they want and what's actually happening for them, right? Or in some cases to them, right?
Yes.
So being able to have more impact on somebody by asking a couple of simple questions, man, it's really,
yeah.
It's impressive.
Another question I really enjoy asking is, how do you feel about your goal how you feel you're doing, with your goal to learn and do and become more? Because we encourage, you're a master at that, Ron, because so many people here have sat at the front desk and have grown in the company into many positions, which is super fun to watch. And you've taught me that over the years, that's almost more enjoyable than building a business and making money is building people. Holy cow. It's so
nothing better.
To watch. Amazing.
There's nothing better.